Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Quickbooks Lab and a very warm welcome to the year 2022. Quickbooks Lab, a monthly podcast designed to be the place to learn all about the world of QuickBooks and other accounting software. On the first Wednesday of each month, we hang around these microphones to talk all about the latest news, tips, and tricks, and all to do with QuickBooks Online. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Patrick, a chartered accountant and owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, a QuickBooks certified trainer UK with a fancy new logo, and you'll find that, well, it was on the screen. I think I've chosen the wrong thing now. There it is in the top left-hand corner. And also head of accounts here at Boffix. Joining me is my co-host, the one and only Ash. Ash, how's it going?
Fantastic. Happy New Year, Aaron, and Happy New Year to everyone else. Yeah, great. My name's Ash Beetson, QuickBooks trainer / accountant, bookkeeper, software developer, one of the people behind NetTracker for fixed assets, also to be an author these days. So fingers in lots of pies. I'm trying my best. What can I say? That's it. It's a good read.
I was just I can't put it down. You see, wouldn't you pick this book up? You know, available in all your best bookstores. You can't put it down. That's what I found anyway. How does it feel being an actual author now? Then is this it? Do we have to address you by any other name or anything? Do you want author?
No. It's just Ash. Nothing's changed. So there's no. I haven't sort of put any Ferraris on order quite yet. So. I've got some way to go. You know, I might be able to buy a McDonald's next week.
That's the aim, isn't it? That's the plan. All right, wonderful. So today we have an absolute cracker installed for you. But let's first of all figure out how this all works. Well, first of all, don't forget our brand new format, which basically means we're now monthly, and we're live to the world at the regular time of 4:30 p.m. UK time, and that's 10:30 US Central Time, we believe. So if you listen to this back at a later date, then why not think about joining us live and get involved with the show and ask us questions and chat along with us with the chat box, just like we got the brilliant Johan there, one of our wonderful guests we had on last year, and hopefully he will want to come back on later as well. And the whole point of chat is to keep us honest and to ask us some burning questions as well. Furthermore, we're live on the podcasting services around the globe. So if you want to feel like listening to this at a later date, then please do feel free to subscribe to your podcast service of choice. Ash, what we've got for today's agenda?
So we've got some updates on open banking, a little bit of news on the new QuickBooks Bank that's kicked off in the US. Sage have acquired another company, not us yet, well, not us anyway. There's some updates for US QuickBooks. And towards the end, I've got a couple of little tips, QuickBooks tips that I'll chuck in for the mix.
Brilliant. Fan favorite, that one, where we get the tips and tricks back going forward. So let's kind of start off with those the news section. And that first news section that Ash wonderfully put there was the open banking update. And I personally believe this is one of the best news articles that's come out in a very long time. So without further ado, let me quickly share a screen here so you can see exactly what I mean by this one. But effectively what's going to happen is that really annoying 90-day rule. Oh, let me just move the band out of the way so we can get rid of actually see what we're doing. So that really annoying 90-day rule that we had, where we had to go in and reauthorize our bank account on a regular basis, is going to be relaxed. And the idea here then is that, that's exactly what it says on the tin. It gives us an opportunity to, once we've set our online banking authorization, gone through all the hoops, make sure that we are who we say we are, then we will have the ability then to be able to make sure that it continues to update and without having that 90-day rule and having to go back in. Absolutely brilliant, this one. And there's going to be so many situations where I think this is going to be an absolute lifesaver to us as accountants. There's so many times when we've gone to do a set of accounts and it's not been updated for 90 odd days, 100 odd, 180 days, whatever it's going to be. And the idea here is that we're going to lose that requirement. it's a bit of an odd one in my eyes as to how suddenly we can lose it, because I was always told that this was, you know, this was to protect the end user, basically, to protect the person whose bank account's connected, and to make sure that their data's safe and everything else. But I'm not going to argue with it, but they've given us the opportunity to have a turnaround on that. So yeah, all good. What do you think to that one, Ash?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fantastic news, because it was, putting it sort of politely, a bit of a ball ache as soon as you, and it always happens at the most, the worst time. Like you say, you're in the middle of doing the accounts, trying to do a VAT return, and as soon as you click into QuickBooks, what comes up, you need to reconnect, and that's all right if it's your own account, or you've just got the login details for it. But when it is a client, then you're going to have to phone them up, send them an email. Can you log into QuickBooks and do this for me? And then they go in to do it. And then all of a sudden you've wasted 2 hours of your life just trying to do something that was simple. Because years ago, I would have my NatWest account before open banking. I connected it once and I never had to touch it. It just updated all of the time. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then this came along, and and then sometimes it wouldn't connect, so I had to change browsers to do the connection. So cheers for that.
It certainly is a great one. I think for the thing that we at our firm are kind of most excited for is the idea of something like your PayPal account, because that's the one that you normally forget about. It's, you can just about get like a, every 90 days, maybe send an email off to your client. You can even these days use Accounting Manager, something like that, to try and automate it if you can. And, QuickBooks, in credit to QuickBooks, they've done a really good way of making it as frictionless as possible to update your bank. The idea, you just jump into your app, it will then, your QuickBooks app, that is, it will then talk to your bank app and they can make that connection. And, you could probably get it done in 60 seconds sometimes to get the connection. Absolutely wonderful. It was brilliant. But it was always those PayPal connections and those sort of ones that you don't really think about until you're either doing a VAT return, you're doing a set of accounts, whatever it's going to be. And I think that's where the most kind of benefit of this is going to be, because so many times you'd go into it and it'd be, everything else is all ready for you, but you've just got that one account to look at and redo. So I think, I'm looking forward to this. I think this is a huge one. And, I've not had time to read all of the kind of bits that have come through or anything. I'd be interested to find out why, they've had that change of stance. But yeah, it's definitely a good thing all around, I think. Wonderful.
So, off to so QuickBooks banking in the US. So how's that all panning out?
Yeah, so the next one is all about the fact that basically it seems to be all good news. So I know here in the UK we are kind of sitting here waiting for the opportunity for us to have the banking. There are a few people out there who are on the first open beta, or not open beta, sorry, should I say closed beta? And there's a few people who are testing out the QuickBooks banking in the UK. And it's something we've brought up pretty much every QuickBooks Labs, definitely for the past couple of months or so. Because I do really think, and we keep bringing up the conversations about how useful it's going to be, this idea that QuickBooks will have their own bank account, and we've talked about how that's going to be useful to our clients and how useful for us. But that's already there in America, and it just seemed like it's all good news. We've come to our first kind of 2-year offering of it. I've got a quote here. There's 150,000 small businesses already using the service, so that's not an insignificant amount. And the people who are using it, they're all small based clients, and they've all been seeing growth. Now that may or may not be over to do with QuickBooks Money itself, but it's good to see that it is helping. And when we think back to what was announced at QuickBooks Connect, and the idea that we had all of those fancy little solutions that are coming with it. So the idea that, the cash flow forecast can be integrated nicely with it, and you can move around when things are being paid, and the ability to save using those saving elements and be able to save taxes and all that sort of stuff automatically. I think it's really, really good, and it's good that it's had that positive start to its solution and its service, and it just makes it even more exciting. I think that the fact that it's going to be here in the UK. I'm still not 100% sure I like the term envelopes, which is what they class as their pots or whatever, whatever you want to do into those saving elements. But yeah, apart from that, I'm really, really, really excited about it.
Yeah.
But
Is
yeah,
this all including that sort of advance payment on your invoices through QuickBooks Bank as well? That's part of that.
it seems to be.
Similar to the factoring, invoice discounting, whatever you want to call it. So you could raise the invoice and basically Intuit are going to advance you some payments on your invoicing.
Exactly. Yeah. It seems to all be connected. It seems to be that the only way for you to get access to that feature will be to have a QuickBooks Bank, from what we can tell. We've not seen, and I don't think that service is actually live yet in the US. I've certainly not seen it on any of the clients that we've got or anything. But yeah, it seems to be that for you to be able to get access to that feature, you'll have to have a QuickBooks Bank element to it. But I'm still. And we'll have to see what the UK offering is. But for me, I still see the QuickBooks Bank as almost like a secondary bank for clients. I think it will be, whatever bank account they've already got, unless they're starting up and they need one straight off the bat, that's great. QuickBooks Bank will probably be more than enough for them. But I think that at the moment, I still see it as a complementary bank account, if you like. It's that expense account. It's that sort of thing that I think is where a lot of those clients are going to be utilizing the service here in the UK, and I think that's where it's going to get a lot of use, especially as I've said many a time, if the fact that it's all built, because it's supposed to be all built on the Revolut platform, the same platform that they use. So if you've got that opportunity to do, drumming up virtual cards and all that sort of stuff for the business element, I think that's really, really powerful. Because even as my firm, I think the idea of drumming up a virtual card is a no-brainer, and having the bank account connected and integrated lovely in QuickBooks means that for expense management for my firm, I think that would be really, really useful. And I think that's the bit where I'm pretty excited about it. And like you said, those little extras about the factoring and stuff like that just gives you that more of enticement to use it, I think.
And I think this will be probably, once you've got a QuickBooks bank account, like we've been asked in the past, I want to pay my supplier.
Yes.
At the moment, I've got to log into HSBC or wherever it might be, find my supplier or create a new supplier and, pay them, and then go back into QuickBooks and create the payment or match it through the bank feed, however you do that. I would imagine that when you do start getting a QuickBooks bank, there'll be the time where, you are logged into QuickBooks and that bank account, and you'll just be making the payment because you're there. You won't need to go anywhere else. You're doing it all within the one software, and that is, if that is coming in, and I'm pretty sure it would do, it seems to make sense, then that's a huge time saver. I guess there's the question about the security, but with all the multi-factor authentication, whoever's logged in should be the only, to that feature should be the only one that can make the payment. So I'm sure it'll be pretty secure.
And it opens up for accountants that opportunity to do payments on their behalf, doesn't it? And yes, again, like you said, with security and making sure we got the factors and everything else, I think that's going to be a huge change in the way that as accountants we could help our clients, isn't it? And I think it just gives us that other opportunity to it. So I can't wait for it. And again, I'm just really happy that it's had such a good, looks like it's had such a good, strong start in the US. I know they're already talking about bringing it here in the UK, so it's just a case of when, not if. But I think it's a positive sign, isn't it, that it's been well received over in the US. So hopefully that means we get more features and everything else sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Brilliant. Awesome. It's interesting as well because one of the features they're talking about here in the US is the ability to capture checks via the mobile phone. I don't know if you've ever kind of used it here in in any of the newer kind of challenger banks, but definitely Starling and those and even NatWest now. That whole just being able to take a photo of a check and bring it in is an absolute lifesaver. So it's just interesting that they see that as revolutionary. But I think that's something in the UK.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's really annoying because my wife can do that on her Halifax bank mobile, but on my TSB business account, I can't do it. So luckily, I don't get many checks, but I had 2 sitting on my desk for about 6 months before I actually went to pay them in. Exactly. So, no check, please.
I wonder if it does come to the QuickBooks one, that might be a reason for you to move over, maybe, or at least trial the service. There you go.
Yeah, definitely.
There we are. All right, wonderful. So the next one is Sage has gone and acquired another. And like Ash has already said, unfortunately, though, this time it's not a fixed asset register solution, but you know where to talk to, you know where to send the emails to if you are listening, Sage. But no, they've gone and added another solution to their portfolio, and I think this really is an indication of how Sage is tackling their, and let's be face it, they are a bit of a disadvantage to QuickBooks and Xero at this point in time. They are a little bit behind them, but it is interesting to see that their approach to it, which is very aggressive, is to buy out solutions, auto entry, go cardless, and go proposal, and now Bright Pearl, which is kind of a CRM solution. I'm intrigued about how this is going to kind of go forward. All of the acquisitions they've bought have been British or Irish. They've been homegrown acquisitions, and it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting to see that approach and that kind of opportunity there, and it's just interesting to see that model kind of working forward. What do you think, Ash?
I think it makes sense because I was just trying to wrap my brains then. Which was last year when Intuit purchased the e-commerce platform. Can you remember who it was called?
OneSAS.
OneSAS, yeah. So Intuit purchased OneSAS to help with their e-commerce payments, and so it makes sense for Sage to have something that's sort of on a similar that they'll, I'm sure, will sort of build in to sort of integrate more with their sort of Sage Cloud Accounting as they've now got it, because they are I think that they're trying their best to sort of and they've got a tough job to sort of catch up with with QuickBooks and Xero that have you got to take your hat off to Xero because they were the first sort of true cloud only, and it took QuickBooks a little while to catch up with them, and it was sort of left, and and Sage have got a lot of very sticky desktop users, so it's going to take a long. It's basically changing the mindset of all of accountants, and I get this because I'm trying to change the mindset of accountants to stop using a spreadsheet for an asset register, to use spreadsheet on our platform. So to change, accounting firms that have used Sage Accounting for 40 years, for some of them, to then say, you want to scrap that and use our cloud version. It's going to take some doing.
Definitely.
So that's probably why, that could be a reason why they are slower, because they can probably feel they can slightly afford to be. But, I think they're starting to make some changes. So we can only wait and see, really.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I personally see this Bright Pearl acquisition as more of a like for like with, remember Trade Gecko that Intuit bought as well, the QuickBooks Commerce. yeah, I think this is pretty much like for that. I mean, when you look at Bright Pearl and their offering, it is very much a case of not just that e-commerce platform and that e-commerce syncing. It's more of a whole management, like warehouse management, EPOS, stock fulfillment, them sort of elements with it, which, you know, when done right, is a huge savings and sometimes essential for businesses to actually scale up and go to those next stages. So yeah, I'm excited. I think that's a really interesting acquisition. And I think that gives Sage that whole kind of mid, you know, not just the small companies, but that mid-tier companies as well. I think it gives them a real good opportunity to go for them, which we know, you know, well, we assume QuickBooks Advance is on its way at some point. So we assume that will be kind of bringing it into play. And you've mentioned, maybe, I don't know if you mentioned on air or off air, but it was one thing that Sage has got confused at the moment is there's so many different SKUs and everything else, but that's because they've got so many different verticals and integrations that they're trying to go for, aren't they? And different clients that they're looking for. And I think this supplements that quite well, because if done right, this could be an amazing little opportunity for them to kind of take that warehouse element, that kind of mid-tier business, and see how it goes from there. So it's quite an exciting acquisition, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if, because I've not looked at Brightpole in any detail, but you know, if that is able to sort of link in with websites, you know, if you're purchasing something from a website and that, which is linked through Brightpearl, which can update your stock, as you sort of mentioned, and then that's updating your accounting software at the same time. It's quite a decent sort of, you know, app stack to have.
Yeah, especially with a lot of clients now having to have that whole with omni-channel, isn't it? Is the official phrase, where you have multiple different channels, like you're saying. You know, when you do have a solution that can kind of look after it, I think it's brilliant. And yeah, I think every time that Sage make an acquisition, at first I almost kind of think about, oh, that's an oddball, that's a strange one, like, you know, Go Proposal was to one, you know, to a bit of a point. But it, you know, when you take a step back and think about their model, I think it's really clever. And I think, you know, QuickBooks needs that competition. Xero needs that competition. And I think the more that we get QuickBooks, Xero, Sage all kind of building on and getting better and better and better, I think it's best for everyone, isn't it? And it's just going to keep pushing that innovation, keep pushing those elements. And yeah, I think it's interesting. And I'm looking forward to, you know, hopefully this kind of gives an opportunity for QuickBooks Commerce to get a bit more of a, you know, bit more of a press, or a bit more kind of eyes on, because I don't think enough people know about QuickBooks Commerce, and I, you know, I've got some clients using it, and it's an absolutely brilliant piece of software, but you know, it has to be for that right type of software. So
yeah, cool,
awesome. And then we have some other kind of QuickBooks related updates, and basically what we've looked at, or what we're trying to look at here, is some features that may or may not be coming over to UK. So from the UK side of things, there's not been that many changes. We've seen that there's a change in the way that the transfers are working, but between me and Ash, we've not been able to kind of find a client that's been updated and showing that yet, so we can't show you guys yet. And we're still looking to find ways to show you the new interface that's come in terms of the left-hand panel and how that's going ahead. But one thing that is exciting is what we tend to do is we look at what's happening in the world. And I've been doing some work over on the QuickBooks USA client, and there is actually some big changes or some relatively big changes that have happened there. So I thought it'd be nice and useful to kind of go through and show them, because what we normally find is that the changes that have been made there are changes that can be made over here. First one that I wanted to show was a bit of a screenshot, really. Let me just bring it up on screen. And what I wanted to show you was something I found that looks quite interesting. And it looks like it's going to be something that is going to basically, let me bring this up now. It shows a bit of a deeper integration to one of the features they already had. So one of the things that the American version of QuickBooks has that's really quite unique is their advanced version. And one of the things that they also have is here it is their integration with Fathom, isn't it? And you can see here that under the report section, they've got standard customer management, and then you have this brand new multi-co reporting just there.
Interesting.
So they're trying to get that Fathom integration more into your face, isn't it? And what I like about it is as well is it's because it's there kind of showing you the capability of what that software, because all that button does at the moment is it takes you to Fathom and then you kind of go from there. But they've also started to add in a new report button at the top. And I think that's going to be, quite useful. In fact, while I can show you it live now while I was just bringing that into play.
Yeah, so that multi-company reporting, so that is that going to provide us with consolidated reports for multiple companies?
Yes, yeah. Which is what Fathom does anyway, really well, isn't it? And I think it's, I think what they're trying to do is make that more accessible, or at least make it more obvious that that's what that can do.
Yeah.
So if I head to the report section, go to reports, multi-company reporting, and you have it here, the idea that you can, with using Fathom, go in to learn more, but you've got that opportunity to build that directly in. And it's just that nice bit of deeper integration, isn't it? The fact that because they've obviously partnered with Fathom for this feature, it means that it's more inbuilt with it, and it should mean that more people make the most out of it.
Yeah, that it should, hopefully it should work well. When I was talking to another app provider, recently, they talked about multi-company consolidation.
Yeah,
and I guess the only, if it's QuickBooks to QuickBooks, it should be fairly or easier, I would say.
Yeah.
But like a lot of these things, they're only if every single company is set up in exactly the same way. Do you know what I mean? Where, you've got, one company will have wages in cost of sales, another company will have wages under expenses, someone else will have, their loans under current liabilities, and someone else will have their loans under something else. And if there's no, I love the word consistency, by the way. If there is no consistency within anything within accounting, but especially in the way that a chart of accounts is set up, if there's no consistency there between multiple companies, you're on a hiding to nothing trying to integrate those. Because the only thing that will really work is the overall, profit figure and, balance sheet totals. Anything in between will just look a mess. But that's just my opinion. So I would say I would urge anyone trying to consolidate any company is to spend about a week going through every company first and making sure everything is the same in everyone before you even bother trying to integrate them.
Yeah, 100%. But it is nice to see it as in there on the solution, though. I think I really like the idea of kind of having this opportunity to have it built in there so it gets used. And also, I don't know if you've played around with the create new report, but this is to do with Fathom as well. And they have this whole reporting area that you can do here, bring in a little bit different aspects to it, bring in some other elements to it. So yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that this kind of or the reporting is kind of having some love over in the USA. So hopefully we'll get to see that over in the UK. And a very, very small adjustment as well is under Performance Center. They've started asking for inventory, industry, revenue, location, accounting method, just there, which hopefully means that we're going to bring back, because we lost it, that whole idea of having those reports or statistics against people in a similar in trends and everything else that goes with it. So yeah, maybe that's kind of an indication that's on its way back.
Yeah, it's useful how the sort of metrics, how you compare, how your business compares with other in the same industry. Yeah,
definitely. Another quick one that we've seen is the desktop app is now live. I've not been able to play with it, unfortunately, with it being a Windows only at this point in time, but that desktop app is on its way. And if it's anything like the old desktop app that we kind of had for the online one, it should be really useful for power users. Should be an opportunity to have more opportunities for keystrokes and everything like that. So fingers crossed, we'll get to have a play around with it and see how that goes.
All right, yeah, that's interesting, because it was only sort of 2 months ago, wasn't it, that or I saw messages all over the internet, all over Facebook and whatever, saying your desktop is going to expire on such and such a date. So there's obviously to be replaced with a newer version.
Oh no, so this isn't the desktop app. This is the QuickBooks Online Advanced app. This is their desktop.
Oh, because this is just for a QuickBooks Advanced.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I'm with you. Okay, yeah.
And the reason they brought this in is to kind of get that power users in, because when you for the bigger clients, having to go through a browser, they don't quite get that same this issues and having to clear out your cookies and all that sort of stuff. And the idea here is to have that dedicated app that would set up and start up, and hopefully they'll have that more power user element to it. But I've not been able to play with it yet, but it's good to see that because this was announced at QuickBooks Connect, so it looks like it's ready to go. But they killed, didn't they, the old desktop app for QuickBooks Online?
Yeah.
So I assume it's start using it, otherwise there's a chance it's going to go away again. So yeah, forewarning.
Yeah, it makes people sort of wonder, is this for those people that really love logging in from the desktop? Well, if you want to log in through your desktop, you need to go to Advanced. Is that another
pretty much? Yeah,
another little sort of ploy to go, where for those extra things. Okay.
Yeah, because we've said it before, haven't we? There's a few of those updates that they have in advance over in the US that we already have in the UK. So it's going to be a bit more of a difficult sell, I think, in the UK to get that advanced one. Maybe that's what the delay is for, or
possibly
what they're trying to position it for. Another very small update that would definitely be a useful one to come over to UK. Under advanced, under company settings, we have automation. We already have these free, so pre-filled, automatically apply credits and automatically applied bill payment. But you should be able to see there's automatically invoice unbilled activity as well that's appeared. Now, I don't know if that's been there for a while. I've just missed it. But that's quite a nice little interesting one there, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think that's been there long, because I'm just trying to think the last time, and unless it's just the US only, I've not looked at any UK to test, but from the last sort of certification courses, it wasn't there, and that was only sort of about a month ago. So yeah, very useful. If you are sort of recording a lot of expenses on behalf of customers or time on behalf of customers that should be billed straight out, then yeah, it sounds pretty useful to me.
No, I'm really liking that one. I think that's that whole idea of unbilled activity, I don't think it's used enough. I think it's a feature that doesn't get utilized as much as I think it can be. So anything to make it more automated and therefore more useful, I think it's a great thing. So yeah, loving that. And hopefully we get to see it in the UK. Final update then that I've seen, and it's basically just one we were already aware of was coming, but it is now available and it's good to kind of see it already there. Is this whole new books review, or the update to the books review, should I say? So we've at our practice, we're loving, it's called month end at the moment, but they're now calling it books review. But you have this opportunity to drop down between monthly and cleanup. So the idea would be monthly is still what we're kind of used to, but with a really great feature here of a start and end in month. So for us, we're definitely going to be utilizing this when it comes in, because especially for our back clients, let's just do a quarter. Let's do the VAT quarter that we're looking at doing instead of having to do the individual months and doing them independently. So that's going to be brilliant. So we get to change our date range at the top here, and then make it in progress and go through. Nothing else has really changed on the kind of questions being asked or any of the kind of things it's looking into. But we do have now the wrap up section at the end. And the idea of the wrap up section is to give you an opportunity to basically showcase what was done for that quarter. So it's about telling you or prompting you to create reports, send a report packaged over to your client, close the books to get it all done, and maybe do some additional checklists at the end. So I think that wrap up one's really nice. And I think that's going to get really, really useful. So what do you think to the kind of subtle changes to the monthly side of things, Ash?
Yeah, I think it's nice. It's definitely a nice addition there. Didn't we have, or perhaps it's not on this particular screen, within that cleanup, like the opening balances, or is it because it's already been done on this?
Yeah. So from the monthly
cleanup
side of things, yeah, we can jump into the cleanup, and this is brand new. This is so. From what we can tell, the cleanup is supposed to be something that you do either at the beginning of each year or the first time that you take over a client. And at the very beginning, you get this setup area just here. And the idea of the setup area is that it's got some kind of bits to kind of look and making sure your financial statements are correct, but it's got this opening balance area just here, giving you the chance to go in and you could say, look, this should be that, and this one should be that, and that should be that, and it gives you the chance of building in the opening balances directly from here. You choose where the adjustment equity account is going to go to, so maybe all the way to opening balance equity, and you press add adjustment. And the idea then it's going to post these so that whatever figure we've put in here will be the statement balance as at that year end. So is it the same as an open balance journal? Not quite, but it's kind of close enough, isn't it? I do think for this to work, we need to have what that balance here is going to be. You need a kind of a running total almost, because ideally you want that back to zero, don't you, really?
Yeah.
Or if you've already got an opening balance equity amount in mind, you want to know what it is. Maybe a kind of, opening balance before, after adjustment, that sort of idea maybe be even more useful. But yeah, what do you think to that one?
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, and I know exactly what you mean. I think we sort of chatted about it a couple of weeks ago, because one of the first things you do, don't you, when even if it's one of your existing clients and you are about to start preparing the accounts, you go to the balance sheet and you look what the retained earnings are, and you look at what the retained earnings were, and they should be the same unless someone has gone and back posted something or deleted something. So then you would be thinking, okay, well, if I've got a difference now of £58 or something, I would then go through every balance sheet category and try to work out why I've got a difference, and then post that £58 difference between so many accounts until it sort of balances back. So that's I think that would, like you say, Aaron, that would be better.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a start.
Yeah. I like it a lot, and I think it's something that will be really, really useful. I'm hoping it's something that gets utilized enough that they can then start adding some extra bits to it and maybe upgrade it. Because that's always the problem, isn't it? When it comes out almost, not half baked's the wrong word, but you know what I mean? When they bring it out as a proof of concept, and then it doesn't get used, then it never becomes what it should have been. Do you know what I mean? And it's always one of those why I'm a little bit concerned that it's not going to kind of be fulfilled, if you like, in want of a better word.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that always needs to be used properly as well, because what you don't, and I'm sure not everyone would do it, but one or two probably might, is that, okay, well, I just need to get my balance sheet right.
Yeah.
So I'll just stick in some balances to make it right.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
all
yeah,
of a sudden you're left there with a bank that's got unreconciled items, or
yes,
for one reason or another. So although it might balance at one particular date, at a future date, it's gone out of balance. And, you don't want to just be creating one entry that might fix it in 1 month, but then makes it completely wrong 2 months' time. So, yeah, it's just that as well.
yeah. No, I completely agree, and I think also we need a place to upload a document, don't we, to prove where we got these balances from, and I think that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Disconnected bank feeds apply as well. That could be quite useful. Accounts without any activity 90 days. That's a nice little indication as well. And then the opportunity for you to put your own checklist down the bottom. So yeah, I like quick cleanup a lot. I think that's a nice little element to it that I think, for us, it'll be one of those where as soon as you take on a client, the first thing you'll do is clean up, or the beginning of, once a set of accounts is done, let's do a clean up then, and let's just make sure those opening balance are what they say they are. And I think that could be quite useful to go through. One thing I was, just while I was trying to get to work, and I don't think the new version's out yet, but I noticed where it said client request at the top. Do you remember we were shown that brand new client request screen? It doesn't quite look like it's the same one. It looks like it's just a shortcut for you to do the old client request. I say old, the one we're used to, that we can get. It doesn't seem to be that new interface, which is a shame, because the idea was that you could go in here, tick a box or whatever you need to do. Oh, there it is, ask client there, and then it gives you the opportunity to bring that in from there. So that could be really useful.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice feature.
Yeah, I think we need to see it from the client's point of view, though. We need the client to basically be sent directly to that transaction, don't we, for this to work?
Yeah.
We need them to go straight to basically the that screen that I've got there, for them then to make the decision with it and go from there. So
yeah, no, definitely.
Cool. And then the final bit then before we pass back to you isn't on this one, it's on the other one. I've done test one. And on here, we have, under sales, we now have the payments link feature is now up and running. Now, I think you've got a good point there. It might be that this is only if you've got the QuickBooks bank, maybe. Who knows? But the idea here is that you can generate a payment link from here to send over and get paid from directly in there. So, yeah, it's it's always useful to have more opportunities to get paid, isn't it? So definitely not a bad thing here. I'm not 100% sure when it gets used. I'm not quite 100% sure on that one, but I think it's it's going to be a solution that is going to be useful for some clients out there.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look at that in a bit more detail. So whether it's you need, just a payment on account, or because it's just for them to send you some money.
Yeah, well, it just seems like, I mean, the QR code just sounds to me like it's the same idea you had at PayPal, wasn't it? And had the opportunity to do it there. So yeah, copy link, send us new. I've got a feeling you share it to multiple customers to, I don't know, buy this product for £100 or whatever it's going to be, and it's you don't need to send out an individual one to individual customers. It's a quick way for them to make that payment, possibly, maybe. Yeah, but then it automatically gets a sales receipt recorded against it. So yeah, it's an interesting step, that one. I wouldn't necessarily have said it was a solution that was crying out for an answer for, but I think it's definitely something that's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, cool.
And just so you have seen it as well, just because you kind of did mention on it, there is that pay bill now in your cash flow forecast area, which is all to do with the new banking area and making the banking area nice and straightforward.
Yeah, it
Cool.
makes it a little bit easier.
Wonderful. And over to you for your tip of the week.
All right, okay. So let me share my screen. Share my screen. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, I'll bring it in now. And there we are. Nice one.
Okay, let me just set the scene. So imagine you're selling a product or a service. Doesn't really matter what you're selling, but whoever has created that sale, it could be due some commission. And what we want to do is, at the same time of creating the sale, I want to basically accrue for that commission at the same time. So just basic chart of account codes that I'll just check first of all. I've already got this prepared, so I'll just put in here commission. I've created a sales commission. I've got a sales commission in there for cost of sales. And I've also created an extra accruals account in the balance sheet, a liability. So I've got current liabilities, accruals for commission in there. So I've got my balance sheet accounts. If I take a look at my products and services, is that opening up? There we go.
There it is.
I've got two extra items that I've created a minute ago. This is in the sample company. I'll just edit those. So I've got my accrual for commission, and I've got commission payable on sale. I've got that as a rate of 0.05, so that could be 5% commission. Important to know your debits and credits, which way around. So if you think when you create a sale, generally when you create a sale, that entry is going to create a credit entry within sales. So I want to put a credit into my liability account, which is why that's showing as a positive there. If I look at this commission payable, I've got commission payable at the same rate, and that's at negative. And when I multiply this rate, that's going to create a debit, and this will make a bit more sense in a moment when I come to actually create the invoice. Now I've created those two additional service items, but what I want to use those service items with is another thing that I'm selling, because these are just to basically create an internal adjustment. So this won't work for every type of business, but it could work for one or two. If you're selling thousands of products, it's not really going to work for you. But if you only sell a few, it could be pretty useful. So I had an item in there for employee training already, selling at a rate of 1,500. I've created a bundle which is going to use that employee training and the two extra items I created. So if I just edit that bundle that I've got, what I've got there is I've got one item of employee training, so one quantity. So the original quantity, 1 times 1,500, that's what I'm going to sell that for. Then I've got the rate of, or how much the commission is going to be. So I know that the employee training is 1,500. So that is going to multiply that by that rate of 0.05 or minus 0.05, depending on whether I've got the actual accrual or the cost. So I've got my bundle in there. So if I just save that, and I'll look at an invoice that I created a minute ago. It should be in my recent transactions. So when I create an invoice, I can use that bundle. Just give it a second just to open up. It's a little bit slow. So my bundle there, which I used as employee training, Ash commission. When you ever use a bundle, if you've never used one before, it will only display, depending on how you got it set up, this one line. So it's just going to show employee training at a rate of 1,500 plus the VAT. But at the same time as me raising that invoice, I'm actually accounting for the commission as a cost in my profit and loss and accruing in the balance sheet. So if I were to look at my more transactions, look at the journal that's created from the entry. Just give it a second. It always takes a little while longer when I'm logged in with Streamline running in the background. Here we go. So you can see that the sale is credited for the £1,500. The commission, the accruals is credited in the balance sheet, £75. The cost in the P&L, £75, and the VAT. So it's doing all of those. So one entry has done all of that for you, and everything should be up to date. Just a fairly quick tip. What do you reckon?
I love it. I love it. And I love how, because bundles are one of those things that I don't think anyone really knows what to do with when they first hear about bundles. It's a bit of a, all right, okay. But when you start looking into some of the options that you get with it and some of the solutions that you can do with it, I think bundles is brilliant, isn't it? It's a really, it's one of those standout features, I think, in QuickBooks Online.
Yeah, you can do. And although I actually put in those rates, you can actually you can overtype those. So why, you might want to leave them blank because you might have a different rate for different things or whatever it might be. But as long as those two values, positive and negative, cancel each other out, because you basically that's creating your journal on a line in your invoice. That's what you really want it to do, because you only really want that sale, and then that's the only thing that's going to appear on your invoice. So
I suppose you could use location and class as well, can't you? If you want to kind of track who the commission's for or whoever it's going to be. And
yeah, absolutely, yeah, within your brilliant. Extra lines,
yeah, love that, brilliant, nice one.
All right.
Fantastic.
Have we got any questions?
Yeah, couple of questions come through. So Craig asked the following question: is the online desktop app US only at the moment? And unfortunately it is, and it's also only for the advanced version of QuickBooks at the moment as well, which is it's a shame. I assume they're going to leave it to be online only. I think that's to the advanced only. I think that's going to be an advanced only feature, which is probably why we haven't got it here in the UK yet. But yeah, we'll see. Again, I think it's very much going to be dependent on who uses it or how many people use it to see the support that goes forward.
Next, we've got Charity Accountants who loves the bundles. You have to remind us, Charity Accountants, is it Paul at Charity Accountants? Yes. Please, is it Paul? I couldn't remember. But yeah, no, they are great bundles. You can use them for lots of things.
It's definitely one of those, isn't it? Once you kind of got your head around bundles, the amount of solutions, like we said, is just brilliant for it. So yeah, we love bundles, and you don't really see it that often on the competitors, do you? I'm trying to think. Xero definitely not, but does Sage have equivalent to bundles? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does. I was going to actually have a look. I probably will have a look tomorrow, but I don't think that it does. I think it's just got. But yeah, I better not say that just in case it does have. I need to check it out.
Don't want that to be what stops you getting acquired by Sage, not knowing they had bundles or not. Brilliant. Wonderful. All right. Well, I think that is it. I mean, look at that for timing as well, Ash. I mean, we're back in 2022 with a bang, and we absolutely smashed it when it came to the timing there. So, thank you every single one of you for your questions, for your comments, for your putting to the chat. It really, really does help. And if you are listening via the podcast, don't forget to follow us on Facebook so you can join us live on one of our future episodes, which reminds me, Ash, when are we back? And this is a
curveball. So we'll be back on Wednesday, the 2nd of February.
That sounds good to me. That sounds good to me. So remember, it's supposed to be the first Wednesday of the month, and hopefully this time we will have some great bits to talk about. And I do know we have got potentially a guest lined up as well, which is always exciting. So Ash, have you got any videos or anything planned for the next month or so?
I'm probably working on the video similar to what I've just actually done there. I may post that one out. We've got lots of stuff going on at NetTracker with new features, so I probably will be looking to test those over the next couple of weeks, and then we've got Johan's on my list as well, with another sort of 15 or 16 others, I think, that are looking to sort of give it a trial when we're ready. And I might even be sending you an email to text.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Brilliant. And for me, I've got, most of the month's going to be reading. I just can't put this down, tips, tricks for QuickBooks Online. So why did you release it in January? You know what I mean? We're busy enough as it is. So yeah, so it's all good. So yeah, that's it. And with that, then I think that's the end for today, isn't it? So it's just a goodbye from me and a thank you to every single one of you who have supported us in 2021. We will continue to bring your QuickBooks Labs to you at 2022.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you again. And we will see you in a month's time. Bye for now.